All right, today I am talking about equipment. I hate talking about this because it is one of those things that people get so hung up on. However, if you are hung up and want to know what equipment we use to record all of this content, I'm gonna share behind the scenes. So gear up, let's go. I ran marketing departments in corporate America for 10 years and then ran a digital agency for over another 10 years. So I know the roadmap to online success, and that formula always includes producing content to share your message, from your marketing message to sales and delivery. Hi, I'm Jennifer Neal, and you're listening to the Content Toolbox. I believe the secret to finding and creating raving fans online is through you. In building relationships through stories that share who you really are, create genuine, crazy, raving fans that keep begging you to take their money. And on this podcast, we'll be talking strategies, tactics, tips, and more with myself and other industry experts. So buckle up and start your engines, because it's go time. All right. I know that so many people, there's this never-ending question when you are the face of your business and you're ready to actually step up and say, okay, I'm going to consistently publish and I want to start a podcast or a YouTube channel or all of the things. It's so easy to just start researching that tech and look at, what do I need? What are the things? What are the tools? What are the resources? And just get stuck in this analysis paralysis thing. And that's the worst place to be, because then you never end up taking that step forward to actually get you in momentum where you're actually producing the content you need to produce. However, I recently went through an equipment upgrade for our equipment because I have one set up here for the shop, which I'm gonna share all of the behind the scenes on that. And then I also have started recording more of our guest interview series in my home office, since we're all working from home right now, right? So I upgraded my home office equipment, and I realized that I actually needed two different types of equipment because of where I was recording and how I was recording and what I was doing with that content. So decided it might be helpful to share all of the tools and everything that we use to produce our content and show you how rinky-dink it really can be, and it can still look like a professional product. So we will start with this setup here. This setup is designed specifically for our YouTube channel. And our YouTube channel is obviously video first. So I really wanted to make sure that we had great video for this. And with this, you'll probably see that we actually have other angles cut into the scene. So I film with a second camera so that we can have those fun angles to be able to switch back and forth. So all I'm doing with this is I have one that is a DSLR camera that's set up on a tripod, and I have the little flippy, the back view thing turned towards me so that as I glance at this camera, I can make sure that I'm still in frame over here and I'm not jumping off frame or going out of focus. So it's a way that I can check on that camera. So I just have that one set up on a tripod facing towards me. I do like to include a little bit of the backside of the ring light here so you can see that it is a secondary camera, so that you can see that it's kind of the behind the scenes. That's what I'm wanting to do, is show a little bit of the okay, this is kind of cutting to a different angle, but it's not just a professional angle. It's showing this is like the behind the scenes inside look, right? One of the fun things that we do with that second camera angle is a lot of times we make it black and white, or we do some fun grungy type TV effects. It's a lot of fun to play with a second camera angle. It does mean that when you have two different cameras, you have to decide where is your sound going to come from. So my DSLR, I do have a wireless lav mic. A lav mic is this little lapel mic right here. I have a wireless lav mic that hooks up to that camera. The camera says, okay, I'm getting that input. I want to record that sound. And then you have a little wireless receiver that you hook up on your back and run the cord up and hook it up somewhere close to the front of your mouth, obviously, so that you can pick up that sound. However, I have found that a wireless lav mic is not a necessary thing. The times when that really comes in handy is when you are, say, filming, like you have a camera on one side of a street and you're filming across the street to get like all of the scenery and you. So there's no way that you are gonna be able to pick up, like your voice is gonna be able to pick up on that camera. So that's when a wireless lav is really awesome. You know, like, or you're outdoors, you're walking around, you're doing a lot of scenery work, that kind of thing. Also, a lav mic is pretty good at filtering out a lot of the other background noise, not all of it, but it will filter out a lot of it. You know, like I filmed a bunch of things at a couple different hotels, so it's easier to use that lav mic and then set up the camera, especially if you're doing it on your own. You can set up the camera, let it stay on the tripod, and you can walk back and forth and do your thing, and you're still going to be in frame, in focus, and your sound is still gonna pick up. However, for filming inside of my shop here, where I'm not moving that much, I literally have like a 3-foot space that I'm moving in here, and I talk so much with my hands that I wanna make sure that all of that stays in frame, right? So here, my second camera is literally my cell phone. It's that easy. So I just take my cell phone and I hook it up into a little cell phone holder, and I'm using a lav mic, but this one is literally I think it was like 15 bucks or something on Amazon. It's a corded mic, doesn't even need to be the wireless one. So all it is just a really long cable with one end that plugs into the phone and one end that wires up to me. And I've got about 9 feet of wiggle room that I can just walk around here and talk, right? It's that easy. Doesn't have to be anything super extravagant. Okay, so that is sound and camera. One thing on the camera I will say is always make sure that you are in focus, which I'm gonna do right now. And I'm good. Okay. I have shot several episodes where I was not in focus, and guess what? It's okay. In fact, on some of them, you can even go back. I'll even highlight some of them here to be able to go back and look and see. We just made fun of the fact that I wasn't in focus for half of the episode, but that's okay because the content's still the same because the sound still came through, right? Okay, so that's sound and camera. Lighting. If I have my lights off, you ready? Watch what a difference this makes. I all of a sudden have all sorts of different shadows and the background pops a lot more. I am less in focus in the foreground, and lighting is not quite as even. What I have is literally a ring light that I got from Amazon as well, which I will share a link to. I think it was like 60 or 80 bucks, something like that. This one does have, let's see if I can do this without going, there we go. See, it can go all the way to daylight balance, back to the middle, and back to like completely blue light. So I generally keep this here in the middle. So I'm getting a balanced color of light, and that helps, the ring light helps to get rid of a lot of the shadows and things that can happen on your face. So it just keeps everything pretty consistent right here. The ring light, you wanna make sure, so a lot of the ring lights will have like, here's the ring, and then right in the middle, you put your little cell phone holder. So you're actually looking at yourself inside of your cell phone, inside of the ring. So you can see in my eyes, I'm getting, like you can actually see that circle reflected back in my eyes. That helps create that spark and make it look like you're alive and vibrant and all of those wonderful things that you want for camera, right? And the positioning of that is that the ring light should be just a little higher than your head and angled towards you so that the light is coming out and filtering your face, and you're standing generally about 3 feet from the light. And that gives me 3 feet of room to walk around here, and I still stay lit. And I'm still connected up here with my lav cord into the phone. Okay, so how I film all of this. I film all of this all completely on my own. I set up the cell phone here inside the ring light, wire myself up, very easy to do that part. The secondary camera, this one can be a little bit more difficult because these cameras are on autofocus. So I give myself marks on the floor. This is a theater trick. So I actually put electrical tape down on the floor. And so I know exactly where, even when we're actually using the shop for, like really actual shop purposes, I know exactly where the light goes on the floor. And then I have a mark for myself that I know this is where my toes go. And so when I go to film, I'm always looking down to make sure that I'm hitting my mark because I want to still be in focus. Now, how do I know I'm in focus? I have a coat rack in here that has a scarf, and I actually use the coat rack to store other changes of clothing because usually when I'm recording, I am batch recording more than one episode at a time, but I don't want it to look like that. So I bring out multiple different sets of clothing and jewelry and all that. So I package all that up, I put it on my coat rack, and then I use my coat rack. I bring my coat rack over when I'm setting up the cameras. So I'm talking to this camera here, my secondary camera. I set my coat rack down in exactly the same place where my toes are gonna be so that one of the pieces of clothing or a scarf or something that I can focus on is right where, in line with where my face is gonna be. Then I go to my secondary camera and I take that, use the focus to filter in on the coat rack right here. And then I don't move the camera after that because it's sitting on a tripod. So I use it to focus and then I just set it up. I flip the little viewfinder around so that I can actually see myself as I'm in the front of the camera. And then I just push record on that and I let it go. It gets a lot of extra footage, but that's okay because that stuff comes out in editing. Then I obviously get rid of the coat rack and I stand in place. But now I know that as long as I'm hitting my mark here on the ground, that I am going to be in focus with this camera. And I have to remember to put myself in focus with this camera here just by touching my face. And that's it. So then as soon as I am finished recording an episode here, I go and put the files into our episode folder. And my video editor, Sandy, she knows that the files coming from my cell phone, these are going to be number 1, and this is where we have decided to pull the sound from. So she always pulls the audio from this file. Then our secondary camera becomes the backup, the cut-ins, those kinds of things. And all of those files just get uploaded into our raw folder, where then she goes and takes and mixes it all together and makes the magic that you now see. Okay, so that is our outside setup here. In terms of other lighting, I have done nothing else. This is all just standard lighting. So inside, for filming our guest episodes on the podcast, I've done some different things because on that one, I'm generally on my computer. And I can't have a ring light right in front of me because I'm looking at my computer monitors.
How's that? A little too bright?
Because I'm generally on a Zoom call, and sometimes I'm doing screen share recording. So this is like if you're filming a webinar or an ad or something where you're doing some sort of screen share on your computer, or you're doing your interview Zoom call, or you're going direct to Facebook Live from your computer. This is when you're gonna wanna use that kind of a setup. So you may not necessarily need multiple camera angles, but you need something that's gonna be able to work with. You've got those monitors right in front of you, and how do we get the lighting around that? So for me, I even have, as you can see from the pictures included, I have a stand-up desk. So I have a big L-shaped desk, and I have a stand-up platform on that. So my stand-up platform is, I like to stand when I'm recording because I feel like I get more energy. It's just a better posture and I can stay better engaged that way. So whenever I am doing my podcast interviews, I'm always standing. So I make sure my desk is gonna be stand up. I also have, on my stand-up desk, I have a bracket that comes up, and then it holds my monitors, and I have 2 pretty big size monitors. So this entire fortress of monitors in front of me plus all my keyboards. So what I have done is instead of doing my ring light this way, I actually have set up 2 separate side lights. So when they're shining on me, I've got one hitting this way, one hitting this way, and together they kind of counterbalance out the shadows and things that can show up on your face. Now, I do have the same daylight, other balance on these lights. So what I got are just some simple LED panel lights. Again, I'll share a link, got them on Amazon. And one of them I actually have on a tripod that goes all the way down to the floor. So that one I move in and out as I need it, because on this side, when I am working and recording in my office, I have a window. And depending on how bright or what time of day it is, I get a lot of natural daylight that can come in. So sometimes this side of my face can get really hot or blown out, like really white. And so I need to counteract that. So I've got blinds and things that can kind of cut that light down, but I also want another light over here that's going to provide equal amounts of light that will help to get rid of those shadows coming across your face. So I have another light that I generally keep somewhere between like 50 and 75%. And then this light over here doesn't always get used. When it does, it's typically somewhere between 25 and 40% in terms of like the volume of light output that I'm actually using. So I'm actually using those to counterbalance. The one here on my left actually sits permanently on a tripod on my desk, so it's not in the way. I don't have guests or animals tripping over the tripod on the floor. It can just always stay there and it's ready at a go. So now in terms of the bigger equipment upgrades that we have had are, I have my webcam. I literally still shoot with a webcam. A Logitech, probably the same one that everybody on the planet has, just a good old webcam. And for a long time when I first started these, I just used the webcam microphone. And if you're looking for an easy way to get started, it is so easy to just do that. You just pop your little webcam right there on top of your monitor and it's easy. Away you go, right? If you want to upgrade your sound a little bit, here's what I just did in terms of my upgrades. So I bought myself a Blue Yeti microphone. And that mic is really great. It's used for a podcast. I can use it for interviews if I ever end up having somebody else in there with me. However, because I do have this stand-up desk, when I am typing on that desk, it's connected to my monitors. And if I get too much vibration, that vibration goes up and into the monitors. So where I had my webcam just popped on top of my monitors, every time I was typing or if I would hit my desk at all, it would cause vibration in that camera. It was driving me crazy. So I had to figure out a different way around this. And I also didn't want that vibration and sound to come through in my microphone. So I took my Blue Yeti microphone and instead of actually just setting it on my desk, I actually went and got myself I can share the link to this as well, but I got it's actually a microphone kick boom stand that's normally used for a big bass drum, like I think that's what they're called. I should know this. And anyway, so it's like a little shorty. And the reason I got that is because I wanted to put that on my desk as well. So the way that is sitting right now is I have a little stand that sits on top of my raise up desk. So no matter what height I'm at, the microphone is gonna go up and down with the desk as that moves. So I don't have to worry about the monitors hitting the mic or anything like that. So the boom stand comes up behind the monitors. The boom kicks out, it comes out over top of the monitors. And then from there, I have a shock mount, which what the shock mount does is it literally absorbs shock. So there's like a ring disc thing that kind of sits like this. And then inside of that ring is another one, and they're both connected with cords. So it's totally secure, but that way if this one shakes, it's not gonna shake the inside one as much. And the inside one is where the microphone attaches to, so that hangs down. It's out of camera frame, but it's hanging out here. So literally just off camera is where my microphone sits inside. And so it's picking up my voice very clearly, not a lot of background noise, and it stays out of frame because it's sitting way above my monitors there. Then the other second thing that I did was, because I didn't want those vibrations going through in my webcam, I actually took another tripod that is actually a microphone boom stand, because again, I wanted it to come up, and then I wanted the cross lever so I can set the boom here, but the actual end thing is over here, right? So I've got a boom stand that's coming up. Again, this one is placed on my desk, but not on the raise up part. It's just supported on my desk so it doesn't get hit or kicked by guests or animals or anything like that. So that one's just sitting there on my desk, comes up, the boom kicks out, and then I have a little adapter that went into the end with the boom stand. And all that adapter does is it just gives you a little tripod screw. So then that little tripod screw I just used to connect my webcam right to that. So now I have this little teeny tiny webcam like this on top of this giant boom kickstand on a tripod going down to the floor, but it's secure. I angled it exactly how I needed it. And then in my office, what I've done is I moved my bookcases and all of my actual functional office stuff over to one side. And then I angled my camera so I have just a little corner of the office set up where people are looking at that angle. So inside of that, I put in artwork from Formula Done, and I put in a nice little table and a little greenery. So it's just very well staged to give me that natural background without showing all the rest of the functional office stuff or showing the mess that is now happening on my desk, because I have light, boom mic, camera on a boom stand, and my raise up desk with my giant monitors and all of that. You can't see any of that. But the behind the scenes is not what people are seeing. What they're seeing is that little window that you're giving them. So now I've upgraded my sound, I've upgraded my camera just so that it's not shaking, and I have lighting just to even me out. The entire thing cost me less than $500 for the whole kit and caboodle. So I am going to share the entire equipment list here, but you guys, don't let just a little bit of equipment hang you up from getting your message out there, okay? Go grab my equipment list right now and shoot me any questions you have about any other setups. I'm trying to include some other photos of behind the scenes. So go grab that equipment checklist right now. There's links included if you want any of the items, or shoot me a message if you have any additional questions. Thanks, you guys. Get out there and get publishing, and do not get hung up on the equipment. Use what you got to get started. Upgrade when you're ready. That's it.